The Modology Motorsports podcast is hosted by Podcast Garden, the complete solution for podcasting. We use Podcast Garden to host and distribute this show to iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. If you've ever thought about creating your own podcast, you need to check out Podcast Garden. You'll be surprised how fast and easy it is to get started. Just go to podcastgarden.com and check out their free and paid podcast hosting services. Welcome to the Modology Motorsports Podcast, Season 1, Episode 9. I'm Blake.
And I'm Marcus.
Marcus, I love to, at the beginning of every podcast, start rambling about all the horrible shit that's wrong with my cars, and I don't think this episode is going to be any different.
Yay.
I sent you a picture, and I'll post it in the show notes. I pulled up at the house the other day, and the Civic was burning, just burning through antifreeze. There's like this cloud of just steam shooting out the tailpipe of the Civic. And I'm like, coming home, like I was for real panicked. I was like, this is it. You know, it's not going to start back. Once I cut it off, it's done. This was my last trip to work. Went out the next day, checked it and everything, started it, and it ran. And I was like, well, I still don't know if I need to drive this to work just yet, because this is pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, your car looked like Thomas the Tank Engine, man.
Yeah, God, it was awful. Like, I was scared. I was like legit scared. I was like, nope, this is it. Something is seriously screwed up now. I've run it too long. Something bad is wrong.
I was expecting you to sort of like stick your dinner on top of it and let it boil it.
Right, you could have boiled some fish or something with all the steam.
Could have done like a chop suey Civic dish.
Right.
Right, not boiling the bag rice.
Who wants some steamed rice?
Exactly.
The next day, I decided, you hear about all these pour-in miracles of stuff. You just pour this in your engine, it'll fix all your leaks and stuff like that. And I thought, I'm not looking for an absolute miracle, but if something will just buy me a little bit more time, then maybe that'll work. So I bought this stuff, bars, stop leak. I don't know if you've heard of them, but
no, I tend to try to steer away from stuff like that.
Yeah, I understand. I got a video for all this too. It'll be up probably by the time this podcast goes up. But poured it in, filled it the rest of the way up with antifreeze. And even in the video, you can see that, like, when I first started the car, there's still steam coming out the back, but I go drive the car and come back and it stopped. And I was like, okay, well maybe this will work. So I give it a couple more days and it's still guzzling through antifreeze. I was like, here antifreeze is like $10 a gallon. And I'm like, man, I'm going to go broke. So I decided, I talked to you a little bit about it. I was like, well, what if I pull the valve cover off and just retorque these head bolts? Except I didn't have a torque wrench. So I just torqued all the head bolts down. I know, like, this isn't the thing you really need to do, or it's not really the best idea. But I just torqued all the head bolts down just as tight as I could physically get them with a wrench and a cheater bar. And there was 3. The 2 in the middle of the head and 1 to the left, top left of cylinder number 2 they weren't loose, but they weren't as tight as the rest of them. So I cranked them all down, filled it up with antifreeze again, and would you believe it has not like overheated since then?
I get the funny feeling that they've worked themselves loose somehow or stretched.
But I did find another problem with the car, which may have been the original problem that started all this shit from the get-go.
Go on then.
Cooling fan's not working.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I've been driving home in the afternoons at 90 degrees outside. I've been driving home with the heat on full blast to keep the engine cool. Once I get on the highway, I cut it down to like 1 or 2, but around town, if I'm in stop and go traffic, I keep it on like 3 or 4 is full blast. So usually on 4. I know it's not moving as much like air as it needs to, but it's helped tremendously. It's got up. The Civic never really got up past quarter way on the temperature gauge when everything was fine. So it's got up to half a couple times, and but it hasn't gone past half. So I'm hoping I need to look at the fan. It could be one of three things. Either the fan motor is bad, the relay is bad, or the switch that tells that sends the power to the fan, like, hey, you need to cut on, the switch may be bad. Eventually, I just want to take and straight wire the fan anyway. That way I can just decide when the fan needs to be on and off.
Yeah.
But I'm going to check on that. But I prayed for a miracle with the pouring stuff. It got me halfway there, and then tightening the head bolts got me the rest of the way. At least for now.
We'll see what's happened to the engine when you finally get the Accord done and you pull apart the Civic.
Right. Yeah, I'm dying to take a look at the head gasket and see how it looks.
Oh, it's going to be fried.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I gripe on every episode too about the Accord and how I need to do something with the Accord. Well, Marcus, I finally took the head to the machine shop.
Hey, get in.
They disassembled the head. It was pressure tested, resurfaced, reassembled, and they adjusted the valves on it for me. They told me $80. I know on the podcast I said they told me $80, but then when I went to pick it up, it was $125. So I'm not sure what happened there. They said nothing was wrong. They didn't have to replace anything. So that at least made me feel good about the rest of the motor, that the valves and everything were okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the guy had told me that the car had overheated, and I'm no stranger to that, but it makes me feel good knowing that the head was just warped. There wasn't any like internal damage. That way I know at least, hey, he was being honest. All it did was overheat. So, and like I said, the pistons and cylinder walls and everything else look good, in the block still. So it's even back already. I've got it back. It's sitting in here in the office because I don't want to leave that raw metal outside. At least not yet.
No.
And,
so did they tell you how much they had to take off in the end to level the surface again?
No, the guy that was there when I dropped it off was on lunch. He's the same guy that worked on it. He was on lunch when I picked it up, so I didn't actually get to find out exactly what was done to it. But the guy that, the guy that gave it to me told me it was okay. And to look at it, you can tell it's been resurfaced. It's nice and shiny on the bottom side now.
Yeah, it just would have been nice to have known the deets, like how much they've taken off of it, because feasibly whatever they've taken off of it means it's going to up the compression on your engine anyway.
Yeah, if you're running 15-1, have to run airplane gas in it.
Dear.
115 octane. You have to go to the
purebred corn fuel.
But the gasket set that I got from Rock Auto for the Accord head, it had everything in it. They took some stuff out when they redid the head. I just gave them the whole set, and they gave me everything back. The intake manifold breaks apart into two different pieces. And I think when I put the cylinder head back, I took it out with the intake manifold attached. But I don't know if I'm going to put it back like that. But I worried about how I was going to reach the bolts to hold the intake manifold on that are on the back under the manifold.
Yeah.
And I watched a different YouTube video, and the guy just takes, it breaks in half, so you just take the top half off, and you can just reach your hand back there and tighten the bottom bolts.
Mental.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take it apart. I've got it and the valve cover at work. I've got a couple things planned that I want to do with those before I put them back in the car. But I've got those at work, so I'm going to break those down, put the new gaskets in the intake, put the new throttle body gasket on, order all new hoses to go on the intake. The kit came with everything I needed. Every single gasket for this project except one. The gasket for the VTEC solenoid.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of weird considering it's mounted to the cylinder head. I would have thought it would have been with it, but I don't know. So that's the one other gasket I have to buy is that one. But I've been thinking, I've got the head back now. It's just a matter of putting it back on and then, finishing up the stuff with the intake manifold and the valve cover, which I'm going to try to get knocked out this week. That way, hopefully by the weekend, I can start doing some reassembly. But I'm giving myself, and I'm going to say this on the podcast, and I'm going to say it to you, by the end of September, I want to have the Accord drivable.
Yeah.
I still have to buy a battery. I still have to buy tires. And that's if it starts and runs okay and make sure that there's nothing else wrong with it after that. Because we talked about the clutch before, how it's something's funky with it, but I'm hoping maybe once it's running, maybe it'll be a little different story. But
we'll find out. Yeah. I'm feeling I'm feeling dubious about it.
Everybody just stay tuned. We'll see.
Yeah, well, hopefully by the time I get married, you'll have the Accord done. So,
Nice. But I don't think the Civic can make it through another winter. I mean, being cooler out is definitely a plus for the engine. With no thermostat, now I've got those hood vents on there, the hood spacers. I'm going to freeze to death driving that car this winter. So, and plus it's still got the summer tires on it. I'd like to be able, come cold weather, I'd like to have the Civic up on blocks and ready to start taking apart. Because now it's I got the head gasket thing kind of fixed. I got it operational. But when I turned to the left on the driver's side, it started making this popping noise from somewhere in the suspension.
Is it consistent popping noise? So is it sort of like in line with the way that the wheels are turning? So does it go pop, 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 or is it more of a only when you turn it to that point it goes pop?
Well, when you turn the wheel and then like you put a load on the suspension, like if I run through a pothole or you like or drive through a dip or something where you make the suspension on that side work, it makes a popping noise every single time. And used to do it just every once in a while, but now it does it like every single time. I'm afraid I'm going to turn the wheel back one day and the wheels is going to go rolling off somewhere.
Don't. That's bringing back some bad memories. I still wish I had my camera on it at that point.
Oh, you caught one critical failure, so you're 1 for 2. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, 50% failure rate.
So it makes me think that, with the Civic, I'm looking forward to like redoing this motor and this turbo kit and all this stuff. Hearing that popping noise also reminds me that there's other things I have to do, like suspension and brakes. So I don't know exactly when I'll have the Civic. Once I decide that it's done and it's going on blocks, I really don't know how long it'll be before I get it finished. But we received some good emails about some stuff, and we'll talk about that later. But it may not be as long as I originally thought.
Well, that's good, to be honest, because I think you need a bit of a break with it.
Yeah, dude.
There's so many things going on at the moment.
Tired of fighting it every day and having to worry if I'm going to make it home. It's no fun to drive anymore. So it needs an overhaul. Mm-hmm. But got one Civic about to be on blocks, and hopefully pretty soon a Accord about to be running. So that's my stories of failures and success for this episode. How about you, Marcus? What you been doing?
A massive amount, as per usual. Unfortunately, coming closer and closer to the wedding. I think it is now 1 month and 1 day away. So most of my evenings have been taken up by faffing around with wedding stuff and emailing people for menu choices and stuff like that. So very not car orientated things on my side of it, not a massive amount. On the other hand, though, my dad's been rolling through with both of his racing cars at the moment. So the Corsa is still having spring rate issues. He feels like he needs to change it up, and he's actually looking now to either sell the Corsa entirely or part it out and recoup some money back. Because with all of the new suspension and all the rest of it that with all the new suspension stuff that he's paid out for, and he thought that he was going to have a much more dramatic change in the way it was handling, and it's just not. I mean, it's an old B-series Corsa. It's tired. The poor thing's, 2003, I think, was the time the original chassis was messed around with and put together, and it's just falling apart now. It's just tired. The engine's working brilliant, which is one thing that's sad about it all. But my dad's now looking for another car to do autocross in, and looking to be something a little bit more modern and up to date. I'll give you a heads up when it comes around to next time.
Do you know what kind of car he'd be looking for? What would make a good replacement for autocross?
And light with, I don't know.
Honda Civic.
Yeah, Honda Civic. We'll get it sent over from America and we'll trash it in the field somewhere.
Tell him I got a purple one. I'll make him a good deal on.
Yeah, it's only got overheating issues, possibly warped or pushed out head.
Yeah, it's got suspension problems too. He won't want that.
No, exactly. We'll see how it goes. I'll give you more of an update when I hear more. But I'm sure we'll have some news by the time we record our next episode. As for that, the Caterham's going well. Over this weekend, he came in first in class 2 days in a row. If I'm looking at my math correctly, it looks like my dad will be winning the sprint championship again this year. I think that'll be like the third year running, maybe the fourth year now. But he's got to keep his consistency up for the rest of the year, because it's all about the consistency and where he sits in the standings each time he goes out that gives it the go ahead. And at the moment, he's pretty consistent, either first or second in class. So it's all going really well at the moment. Not much done with the Mini at all at the moment, but as Blake said, we've been furiously typing emails to different people, and there might be a few things coming to the Mini soon. But I've got a lot of parts waiting to be done on the Mini, but I've had no real time to put anything together with the limited garage space that I have at the moment, with Dad doing a lot of work on his Corsa and stuff like that. I've not really had a chance to roll the bad boy into the garage and start stripping it apart and putting more things on it. So I'm waiting for a little bit more time. So that's more than likely going to be in 2 months' time by the time any of that gets done. So we'll see how that all goes. But apart from that, not much is going on. Nothing really new. The van, I'm getting to the point now where it's annoying me, and we've spent a lot of money on it. And because the wedding's expensive, I'm toying with the idea of selling that as well. But we'll see how it goes when I figure out all the expenses after the wedding. Other than that, nothing else at all.
How's the Yaris?
Oh yeah, the Toyota's doing well. It's got a couple of dings in it, nothing major. Just got parked in a shopping centre, and someone opened their door into the side of the rear passenger side handle, so it's chipped through the paint all the way through to the black plastic.
Oh no.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that happens. I know it's not even a year old, but it's you just got to run the rough with the smooth in the UK, especially if you take it as a daily driver and you take it shopping. People just do not care about what is parked next to it. I do. If I'm opening my door for my kids, I put my hand in between the door and the other car and stuff like that. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should just start smashing it into other people's cars. Or one person I saw not that long ago resting their shopping trolley up against someone else's car to get their shopping into the back of their boot. So, yeah.
Asshole.
Exactly. Thankfully it wasn't mine. Otherwise I probably would have had words. But people don't really care.
No.
It's a different sort of culture. But you can often tell that the closer you leave your car to the shopping centre entrance, the more chance you are going to have of people smashing the crap out of it. Oh, yeah. Whereas if you park it furthest away, you generally find that a lot of people that like their cars park further away from everybody else.
I've seen old people here just straight up back out of the parking space into another car and then just drive off.
Yeah.
No, they just hit that car. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to leave.
They honestly sometimes don't. Yeah. I mean, my missus has almost been run over by some guy in an automatic. He was having issues trying to reverse into a car parking space, got flustered, put his foot down on what he thought was the brake, and it was actually the gas pedal, and shot across the street, straight past the front end of my missus and smashed into another car. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know at all when it comes to things like that. It scares the shit out of me watching some of these people drive. What can you do?
I got this a couple years ago. I got a new forklift at work, and it was like brand new and pristine. All the paint was on it. And I kept saying, look, if anybody hits this thing, nobody gets to crash this thing or wreck it or scratch it up until I get to. Because it's like I'm the only one that really drives that forklift, and it was brand new. So I'm like, nobody gets to crash this thing until I get to do it first.
Yeah.
The day finally came where I was backing up, wasn't paying attention and backed into one of the other forklifts and knocked the first bit of paint off of it. And I was like, well, all right. And then after that, I just ran into shit, squeezed in between shit. But I got that first scratch on it. And after that, I was like, I just didn't give a shit anymore.
You broke the seal and that was it.
Yep. I kept it as pristine as long as possible and then just quit caring.
Well, hopefully it's not going to happen with the Toyota like that.
Yeah. The cars are a little more fragile than the cast iron forklifts anyway, so.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I think that's probably about it from my side at the moment.
You know, you said your dad was looking for a newer car because the Corsair was wore out. It was, what, a 2002 or a 2003?
No, I mean, the actual Corsair itself, I think it's like a 1996 Corsair B. None of the actual chassis is the original chassis. It's an amalgamation of 3 different cars all welded together, and so that's why I think it's dying, to be honest. I don't think any of that thing's straight anymore after the abuse it's been put through. Apart from the fact that at one point I got T-boned at about 90 mile an hour in that thing, and we ended up having to put it in between 2 of the cast iron I-beam pillars in my garage downstairs and ratchet strapping it on both ends and pulling it out so we thought it was straight by eye. You know, that sort of abuse. I think it's had a few other choice issues before. I mean, we've pretty much wasted most of the panels on that thing before, including some other bits, and now it's had the whole entire rear end ripped out of it and some sort of weird suspension placed in it. But apart from that, you know, it's all good. I just think my he's put a lot of work into it lately and got nothing out of it. And I think he just feels like he wants to have something that he can work on where it's factory spec from the beginning, and then he can just change things out from there.
Talking about pulling that dent out of the car, did you see that video I shared in the Facebook group? The guys pulling the dent out of the hood? Oh,
yeah, that was brilliant.
If you're not in our Facebook group, then A, what are you doing with yourself? And 2, I'll just tell you about it. This dent, it like creased almost.
Yeah, it looks like someone front-ended it, or
these guys have these 2 straps hooked to the front, and the guy just takes off in this car, and it just yanks the dent out of the hood of the car. And it was damn near straight after that.
It looked, you know, by eye from a distance to be straight. You never know. It looked pretty good. I mean, it's passable.
When I first saw that video before it started playing, I was like, they're going to jerk the hood off this car.
What I was expecting from that video is him to go forward and then it catch and then rip the hood off, and then for it to go right into the back window of the car that was towing it out.
I was surprised. That worked out. That's some shit, though. If I tried it, it wouldn't work like that. But it worked out good for them. So if you're not in our Facebook group, then what are you doing with yourself?
Yeah, and if you're not on our YouTube channel, then subscribe, goddammit.
Shit, before we get into our news, the little bit of news, which will be Blake found some cool stuff. Do you want to talk about the good news that we've gotten from our emails?
Yeah. So both myself and Blake have been emailing different companies and stuff like that so that we can try and see if we can get some choice bits of kit for our cars and do some videos and stuff like that. We've had 2 responses back so far out of how many now? 6 companies. And so I suppose we can reveal it to them now that we are sponsored by Mishimoto, and Blake has managed to get us sorted with what they call Colorworks.
Yeah, Colorworks. They make LED light bulbs, interior lights, exterior like underbody lights, halo ring headlights. They make if they make a colored bulb, if there's a colored bulb you want or an LED setup, then Colorworks has got it for you.
I did have a quick look on their website from the email that they sent you, and I saw they've got an option on there for an app where you can change the color of the lights from an app on your phone and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, I think it's part of the. I was looking at one of the light setups, one of the interior setups, and the options are, how many tubes do you want? Like the LED strips do you want? And then how do you want to control it? They've got remote. You can use a Bluetooth app. I guess they set it up as you make your choice of what you want.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's not something that I'd be able to use on my build for the Mini. I think it would be completely wasted on that unless I was doing something a little bit more showy, considering that mine's literally just going to get thrown onto a track and blasted round. I don't think I need like purple headlights or something like that. Yep, the Civic though. Yeah, blatantly purple headlights.
Purple headlights, green underbody kit.
Yeah.
And it's sitting there blowing flames out of the wastegate that I've turned and got coming straight up out of the hood.
Blatantly. Or steam.
Or steam out of the back. It'll
Steam
be a
out of
better
it.
lighting effect. All that steam and the colored lights.
Yeah, it'll make it look like you can do a big reveal where you've just turned the engine on, open up the garage, and then there's just steam rolling out, and it's just all purple.
No fog machine needed.
Nope. No, your Civic comes with its own ground effects.
I guess what you mentioned too, Mishimoto, if you're unfamiliar, is a maker of fine cooling products such as radiators, cooling fans, hoses, and then they get into like oil coolers, catch cans. They make a ton of different stuff.
Yeah, and some of it will be winging its way sometime soon towards me to place into the Mini, ready for my first foray into motorsport in a while.
Let's take a break. We'll get into news of stuff that Blake finds pretty cool.
Hey guys, I'm Zach.
And I'm Tim.
So, this is Plug and Play Podcast.
We talk about tech,
And video games.
lots of video games.
Lots and lots of video games.
We talk about Kickstarters.
We talk about life.
Talk about game news.
I Can't Let You Win. We talk about video games.
I think we covered that.
I don't think so.
We also talk about craft beers.
Oh, we do talk craft beers.
That's probably our favorite part.
Exactly.
Gotta have our tasty treats.
Exactly. So guys, check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, and all of our social media, facebook.com/Plug and Play Show, and Twitter and Instagram @PlugandPlayCast. And as always, you guys can find us on iTunes @Plug and Play Podcast. So guys, take a seat, or hopefully you're not driving a car, but do something where you can legally grab a tasty treat, crack them open, and join us on the next episode of Plug and Play Podcast.
All right, we're back
Cheers.
for the news. The news being, hey, I saw two cars and I thought they were pretty cool. Marcus, have you seen the new Toyota Corolla hatchback?
I have not.
Man, that thing looks cool.
I'm going to have to look at some photos. You're going to have to send them to me so that I can have a look.
Y'all post a picture up of the in the show notes of the one that I saw. It's this new, just blue colors, really, really pretty. And I didn't know what it was at first. I was like, what is this? And turns out they make a Corolla hatchback now. I think 2019 will be the first year model to make the version of the car.
Nice.
But it comes with does your car, the Yaris, does it have, can you like sync your phone to the car?
Yep.
What do they call it? Do they call it like Toyota Sync, or what do they call it? Or is it just Apple Play?
I don't think they have a specific name for it. They just say that, the problem is a lot of the cars these days, they have it all. They have all of this already. So it's not Apple Play per se on the Yaris, but a lot of cars nowadays are actually getting Apple Play as standard. So we'll see what it comes in with the Corolla.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I didn't know if there was something specific that they called it through Toyota. I know Ford calls it like Ford Sync or something like that, but it'll have all the bells and whistles. No turbo version as of yet, but
No turbo version.
not yet, but I guarantee there'll be a TRD edition or something pretty soon, because it looks damn good. Marcus, as much as I hate to say it, I saw another car that actually looked pretty cool. So they stopped making the Mitsubishi Eclipse, the car that was in Fast and Furious, both of them, the two different body styles at least. It's come back. It's made a comeback as a crossover SUV.
It sounds to me like it's some sort of like final death row of like, we need to get the Eclipse to work.
We got to get that name back out there. We got to stick it on something. How about this unnamed mini SUV that we got?
Yeah.
But it actually looks pretty cool.
Fair enough.
I watched a video online. A guy was doing a walk around of it because I keep seeing these commercials and they keep like pushing this car to like 20, 30 somethings. You know, this is the car. Check this car out. And all the kids are sitting in there like, oh, it's so cool. Look at all the gauges. It's red. And I said, well, let me just see it for myself. So it's a turbo. It's the 1.5 liter turbo engine. It had full just racing seats in the front. Like it looked like Recaro racing seats for the front two seats.
Yeah.
The back was still just a standard bench, but at least like they were all upholstered. But it looked okay. And now I'm looking to see like what a sportier version of this will look like. It's got to be right around the corner because they can't ever leave these cars just alone long enough until Blake says, hey, these two cars look pretty cool.
I was expecting you to say that there was a new Ford Focus and you're going to get it and ditch your other one.
No, not yet. They still make the hatchback, but it's a 4-door hatchback now. So I don't know how I feel about that.
Actually, talking about Ford Focus, I saw outside my work the other day, there was a guy that parked in our car park, and he was there for a good half an hour, 40 minutes. He had a personalized number plate, and I think it was like Roy, something, ROY. It was a bright lime green RS with like a massive stylized RS on the side and on the sticker. You know, it's like full on boy racer. You could hear it coming down the street and all the rest of it. And the guy, no word of a lie, must have been in his 70s, driving this lime green, sporty car. And he parked it in our car park, and you could see it still had the seat covers from where he'd bought it, like the plastic seat cover that they have on there. So you could see when he opened up the car. But no word of a lie, he was parked in the car park for about half an hour, and all he was doing was shining it. So he was like, got his, what was it? It was the polish cloth that he was using was obviously from Ford for the car because it was exactly the same color as the paint on the car.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah. He was full on going to town on the inside of the front window. And then he started getting outside and he was shining the outside of the front window. And then he was getting all in underneath all of the little, like the plastic trims and stuff like that. And it was going all in the inside of the wheel arches. And I just watched him every now and then thinking, how long can you sit in somebody else's car park shining your car? And then he somebody else turned up, obviously knew him, came over, passed him some more cleaning products, and then he started going at the wheels. I was like, geez. I mean, this was like, I think it was like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, and he was out there shining his car for that long. And I was just like, wow, that guy is a proper Ford Focus nut of some sorts that really loves his car way too much.
See, he does that now, but then one day he gets a dent in it while he's at the Tesco.
And then 3 days later, it's got no panels on it and the wheel's falling off.
He doesn't care anymore. He doesn't care after that.
Yeah.
I would have been thinking watching him. I remember when I loved my car that much. Now I don't care. Now it's got squirrel shit all over it and pee because the pine tree I park it under, they're eating the nuts and shitting all over my car.
Nice.
Like,
but,
you know, it gets too much colder. I'm not doing it now, though.
But at least you know that the color won't fade because of the plaster dip.
That's right. Well, it couldn't really get any worse, but yeah, I will give 2 thumbs up to Plastidip because being over a year old, it has really held up well. And
it can take brick walls as well.
Yeah, brick wall, squirrel shit. This two
different sides of the flipped coin, eh?
Right. Well, all right. The news was a little lackluster this week or this episode, but I saw those 2 cars and I had to give it a mention. Hasn't been a whole lot of car news out. It's the new cars will be coming out soon, so we'll keep an eye out for those. But right now, that's about it. So Marcus, you want to talk about YouTube numbers and stuff?
Yeah. So at number 1, the Ford Focus Radiator, 5,540.
Yeah!
It's still up there.
Still up there.
Still up there. The Honda Brake Master Cylinder is at 3,295. And at number 3, the Caterham 620R video still rolling in, trading places with loads of all the new ones, and rolling in at 1,712 minutes.
So the Caterham's back, baby. It's back in 3rd place again.
Yep. Yeah, it's slowly making its way back up.
The dash cam video did incredibly well when I first uploaded it.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, that was ridiculous.
And now it's dropped down to 6th, 7th place. It's way down there now.
Yeah, it's languishing behind. Yeah, so it definitely had a lot of push at the beginning, but now it's sat there at the back wheezing.
The good news is I got enough clips on the computer to make another one, so that'll be coming up soon.
Yay!
Oh, and the Ford Focus Radiator video, I sent you a message the other day on Messenger. I was like, look, it is so close to getting 6,000 minutes, viewed minutes for...
Yeah, I think you sent me a message and it's 5,995 or something like that, wasn't it?
And then I woke up that next morning, it says 6,000 even, and I snapped a picture of it, which it doesn't stay like that, because as soon as a new minute goes on, an old minute goes off. So it just happened to catch it at that right time where it has 6,000 viewing minutes for 28 days.
Yeah.
And we got subs.
89.
Up to 89 subs now. We are so close.
Yeah, I was saying to Blake before we came on the show tonight that I want to have 100 subs before Christmas.
There's so many T-shirt designs I've been thinking of. It would be nice to, or even upgrading my business cards that I had to be able to put the actual YouTube. And before now, it just says YouTube, and it's got Modology Motorsports on there. So I want to be able to put the actual YouTube URL. So if you haven't subscribed yet, we're so close to getting 100 subs, so we can change.
I'll tell you what. If we find out the person that subscribes to the 100th sub will send you a T-shirt for free
and a sticker. Your choice, black or white.
Yep.
Speaking of, stickers still for sale on the website, modologymotorsports.com, and then click shop and get you your very own Modology Motorsports logo sticker in black or white. Still just a few left. Now available in the UK, free shipping in the US. If you don't have one on your car or your wife's car and you're listening to this podcast, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get you a sticker. Well, Marcus, that's about all I've got for this week. You want to wrap this thing up?
Yep, I think we should.
All right. Well, if there's any cars you think are cool, I'd love to hear about it. And so would Marcus. Just drop us an email at modologymotorsports@gmail.com.
And if you want to catch us on Twitter, it's @ModologyMotors.
We got a Facebook group. I just shared a video the other day of what we call in America, we call them donks. Which cars with 24-inch wheels and up.
Disgusting things. They look awful.
There's 2 of them on a drag strip, drag racing each other. So if you want to see that, facebook.com/group/Modology Motorsports. Marcus was not a fan.
No, not a fan at all. If anyone wants to change my viewpoint on that, go ahead. But I very much doubt it.
All I could think watching that was, well, you don't see this every day. So, all right. If you got Twitter and you want to talk to me, hey, you can do that. Just message me at Hesser414.
And you can catch me at Brunt_Marcus.
All right. So here's your homework until the next episode. A, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe on YouTube.
Yep, because if you're our 100th member, I will personally send you a T-shirt.
2, buy a sticker. Or subscribe, and then when it gets to 100, if you don't get one, buy a sticker for you and everybody in the whole family.
Yep.
All right, and then rate, comment on iTunes, help us get a little more visibility, and that'd be much appreciated. And
yeah, it'd be nice. Yeah, I think it'd be nice if we can get up on the ratings on iTunes.
Not a whole bunch of choices as far as car podcasts, so you're stuck with us.
Yep.
And NPR or something like that. But hey, leave us some feedback, and we'll check it out on the next show. Well, all right, everybody, that wraps it up for this episode. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Take it easy, guys.
Fucking with the facts. Yeah. don't even know what else to say. Let that 808 right out though. Yeah.